All right, so the second section of the methodology chapter is the research questions and hypothesis. Now, depending on the type of research that you're doing, specifically qualitative or quantitative, this section is going to be a little bit different. Okay? If you're doing a quantitative study, you're going to have both research questions and null and alternative hypotheses. If you're doing a qualitative study, you're simply going to have research questions. You're not going to have hypotheses or null hypotheses, okay? Or alternative and all null hypotheses. You're simply just going to have research questions. All right. And I will make that nuanced change as we go through this. All right, so in this section, you're going to state the total number of research questions in your study. Quantitative only, you're going to concisely state the study variables, whether it's independent, dependent, covariate, mediating, moderating, and so on and so forth. Oops, I got two B's here. So this should be C, and this should be D. All right. And then C, you're going to state all the research questions individually. Everyone's going to do that. And then D, only if you're quantitative, you're going to state the null and alternative hypothesis. All right. Now, generally, this is a one paragraph section. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start out by writing the total number of research questions in your study. All right. So you can just type that now. In this study, there will be, or there are a total of X number of research questions in this study. All right. All right. Now, if you're running a quantitative study, you're going to indicate or list your independent variables. In this study, there are, of the 10 variables, 6 are independent variables, and they are defined as da 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 da. Okay, so just list the independent. You don't have to go into details, just list their names. Same thing for dependent variables, just list their names. That's all you have to do. Same thing for control and everything else. You don't have to describe them, just list their names. Okay, that's the second thing. So you've done that for the independent, and you've done that for the dependent, and any other mediating, control, or moderating variables. Okay? All right, so write that. Number of total variables, number of independent variables, list them. Number of dependent variables, list them. And number of other variables, and list them. All right? Now, that was only if you are conducting a quantitative study. If you're just doing a qualitative study, all you're going to do is indicate the total number of the total number of research questions, and then you're going to just list the research questions. Okay. There were 8 research questions that addressed these components. The first research question was blah, 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 blah. The second research question was blah, 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 blah. Each paragraph must have a minimum of 3 sentences. All paragraphs must have a minimum of 3 sentences. Okay? All right. So now let me give you a sense of what this looks like from a quantitative standpoint. All right. So here we have an example. 7 research questions were addressed in this study. State the total number of research questions. Done right there. Each of these research questions address the relationship between IT operations alignment and 6 maturity factors, respectively, among the K through 12 institutions. The 7 research questions and the corresponding null hypotheses were, and this is how you write them. Research question 1. You write the research question, and then you write the the null hypothesis, which is H sub 0. 0 means null. H sub A equals alternative, or you can have an H sub 1, which also means alternative. Okay, so you have a research question, null hypothesis, and then a null alternative hypothesis grouped together. The associated hypotheses are grouped with the research question. If you're doing a qualitative study, you're not going to have these. You're just going to have the research questions. Okay? Research question 2, and then the associated null hypothesis, and then the associated alternative hypothesis. Research question 3, the associated null hypothesis, and then the associated alternative hypothesis. That's it. That is all you have to do for this section. Section number 2, research questions and hypothesis. So get that done before you move on to the next section. Okay, here is the example. Pause the video and just start writing. Okay, if you have any questions, please let me know. Just write your questions in the comments below the video. All right, thank you. Let's move on. When you finish this, move on to the next section.